Why are you wearing that?
Why am I wearing what? What am I? Because I knew. Oh,
Right. We talked about it. We talked about it
Are
while
y'all
you were here.
matchy right now?
We're both ODU.
Okay,
Represent.
But you know what I thought about? I was like, y'all have like a uniform for this podcast.
Yeah.
Do I always wear this?
Yes. And you've worn that for at least 2 or 3 episodes. And it makes me feel like, should I also have...
I've kind of thought about that. I try to look the same each time. Memorable.
Welcome to Episodes Unscripted. I am Scott Feltz, joined by Shauna Fretwell and Charlie Harcum.
All right.
We have a lot to cover. This is Stranger Things episode 3. So I'm just going to give the recap.
Good.
Straightforward.
And then
we'll run through the...
I'll take notes during your recap.
Okay. You might should have done that during the show.
Oh, crap.
But, okay. I'm just going to run through it.
Still learning.
We open with Barb potentially dying. We don't really know. Seemed like it. Nancy leaves Steve's house after they just did the deed. And Mrs. Wheeler catches her coming in. Classic. Joyce is going crazy with the lights in Will's room. She's surrounded by them. The light. Jonathan, the lights.
Mm-hmm.
He's here. The guys plan to go on a mission after school. They tell 11, meet them by the power lines outside of school after school. Hop goes to the restricted area. Do a little bit of investigating there. Joyce hangs lights. She goes bonkers with the lights. She likes Christmas. They leave the restricted area, hop in them. They're a little sus. They go to the library. Nance recognizes Barb is gone. Finally, Mrs. Wheeler visits Joyce. Jonathan gets bullied outside of the school for some pictures that he took. 11 kills some guys in a flashback. Nancy looks for Barb. The only one looking for Barb currently. No one else even knows she's gone. Joyce talks to the lights, and then she witnesses a Demogorgon. Meanwhile, the cops find a body, and that is where we end it.
Ooh. What made you say a body, Scott?
That feels like jumping ahead.
Well, because I guess it's Will.
Well,
it's close, but
that's what they told us.
The kids didn't seem to think. So let's start at the beginning, because I think it is a fantastic parallel to have
parallel universe. That's crazy.
Barb is dying, and meanwhile Nancy and Steve are having the time of their life. Nancy is coming over to the dark side.
But Barb's not dying. We just see her stumbling around. We get the idea that she's somewhere not of this earth.
Yeah. We don't know if she's dying or not.
We don't know what she's going through yet.
I say dying to be dramatic, but we really don't know if she's dying.
She's just lost and confused and very afraid. And meanwhile, Nancy is getting her swerve on. And
I was very confused. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought we saw her get eaten. Maybe I made that up in my own mind.
Well, she got snatched up, and so did Will.
Yeah, I don't really watch her get eaten.
Yeah, maybe I made up that part in my mind. One thing before we get too far into this, I don't think I've mentioned this the last 2 episodes. I don't know if either one of y'all are picking up on Scott, I hate to make references in the past all the time, but you remember the show Creep Show? Either one of y'all? Creep Show?
Nope.
The old
scary...
It's really good. Y'all should just look it up. They made movies, but it's a TV show. The intros, when the title screen comes up and they zoom in and they go through the title, and the background is behind the title. That's straight from Creep Show. Yeah, it's awesome too because it makes it very real. Like, ooh, I'm moving into this world. It's a very cool film I'm sure you guys are very familiar with that.
Not
Probably has
to get off topic. I'm just really quickly
I
will
did.
say I really like when they do it reverse, like at the end of the movie. And
You
they
like it
zoom out,
reverse,
and it just keeps going after the movie's over, and we just keep going back to like Horton Hears a Who, and they zoom out and then zoom out and then keep zooming out,
and then it's like planets and universes and galaxies. We should talk about that sometime.
We should. So, all
right, sorry.
Nancy and Steve, though, that was interesting because I would just like to mention that, so Nancy gets up to leave. One other note on top of my note that I haven't even made yet. I don't know what all the guys are sleeping face down, what that's about. Do you sleep face down, Chuck? Like on your stomach?
Before I answer that question, is it specifically a guy thing that you're curious about?
I was curious if that's a gendered thing. I sleep on my stomach.
Well, because we saw Steve do it, and then right after that, the next few shots, we see Jonathan doing it, and I'm like, man, is that like a cool, like, oh, he's so knocked out, he's just flat out on his face?
Oh, I can't sleep on my stomach anymore because it hurts my back.
Wow.
That's real.
Yeah.
I'll vouch for you on that.
Okay.
Anyway, Nancy gets up to leave. And she's like, Steve, I'm leaving. Yeah. Okay, cool.
He doesn't even say that much, though. I know that scene made me mad. I know they're high school kids, but it's dark. And she's the one who has to get dressed and sneak back home. Homie can't even pick his head up off the pillow.
Right.
Yeah.
Sir.
It's bad.
At least walk her to the door, for crying out loud.
Yeah. And then I think and I'm not a woman, but I could feel her vulnerability when she's walking through the school later on.
Yeah.
She's so sad.
And she's thinking everybody's looking at because it's that feeling like, okay, we did this and then nothing happened.
Well, it was
and then
a big
now
deal
I feel
to her.
really vulnerable and feel like maybe you just kind of did that for...
Right. She felt taken advantage of. Like, oh, I thought he really liked me. Oh, no, he got what he was after. And now he can't even like...
And to his credit, he swooped in and saved the day. Like, because then she calmed down again. But for that brief moment, I thought, man, okay,
But I want to step... I know, it's gross. I don't like it either. But I want to take one step back to when she gets home. I thought Mrs. Wheeler, like, I felt that moment for her. Because one, she's like, you freaked me out. I had no idea where you were. But then secondly, I thought she was a really good mom in that moment because she was like, you can talk to me. Like, she picked up immediately on the fact that, like, something had happened.
I was thinking the same thing. Yep.
She knew. I'm just going to say it. She knew her daughter had sex with a boy.
Yeah.
She picked up on that real quick. And the way that she was like, you can talk to me. And you could tell it was like a woman to woman moment where she, like, her heart broke for her daughter because she knew something had happened and her daughter was hurt. And so the way that she was like, she went from being mad to having so much empathy in that moment. I was like, she's a really good mom.
I'm sorry. I'm smiling through that whole. I realized I was just smiling. I was so excited because to your point, when that happened, I made a note immediately and it only added to it as the episode went on. The fact that Mrs. Wheeler just wants someone to talk to her.
Oh, she's
because
desperate.
In the first, one of the other two episodes, she said to Mike, "You can talk, like I'm here."
Yes, she did.
And he blew her off. And then here, and she's like acting like what? No, nothing happened. You can talk to me.
I didn't like that they back to when Nancy and Steve were getting it on. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I didn't have that type of experience when I was in high school, but I don't imagine.
Okay.
No, I don't imagine
it's fine.
High schoolers being that. It always bothers me when you see young people in a romantic.
Casual.
Yeah, and it's not.
But it's
I
not
shouldn't
like
say
that.
I haven't been there, but it's not going to be like that at all.
No,
It
it's
was
a very unrealistic.
And I hate that they make it so serious. But I know it worked out because Nancy felt vulnerable. And for the woman, no doubt. I feel like it's a bigger deal, certainly in the early, I don't want to say first time. That freaks me out saying that. But that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And for them to make that moment it's so, look.
I think even...
But the movies always do that, though.
Yeah.
They always depict it like it's
at the risk of sounding weird, like it was kind of like, whoa, this is way more hot than it should seem.
It's
Yes.
grown
like,
folks.
Yep,
It's
it
grown
was like
folks,
grown
and those
people,
were not
and you're
grown
I'm glad
like,
folks.
y'all agreed with me there
It's-
because I was
yeah.
really going out on a
That
limb
is,
saying
they were
Yeah.
they're clearly like 16-year-olds,
Yeah.
and they made it look real grown,
Right.
and that's just not
It's
where
like,
you're at
that's
that
that's
point.
not how that goes.
no, it's
Not
going to
when
be
you're in high school.
awkward. Anyway, okay, good. We're on the same
No,
page
we're
there,
on the
too.
same page.
I have a
I
note down
did-
here about the kids coming home late. I think it was just Nancy coming home, and
Yeah.
again, for me, I'm like, I don't know. That's just foreign to me. But I did start thinking about my own kids and coming home late, and it's like, yeah, you could have at least called, or why didn't you just? I mean,
But it's also a different time because now you just shoot a text.
Right.
Just text me and let me know when you leave your friend's house. Just
when she
text me.
said you could have at least called, I'm like,
Yeah.
could she? Where was she going to call? I mean, I guess she could call from whatever place she was.
But you don't
It
really
would-
want to call
would that
from the
give it
house
away?
party on a Tuesday night that
Yeah.
you're at.
That's a landline. We can see, right?
Yeah.
But
Wait.
did they even? I don't know that they had
No,
caller
'cause
ID
you
at that
can't.
point.
You just answer.
No,
Wait,
you
so
didn't
in
have
the
caller
80s,
ID.
you would just answer the phone.
That's why
and be
prank
like,
calls were such a big deal.
because
Right.
you had no idea.
Until what was it like? Star
Call-
6-7.
When was
came
caller
about?
ID a thing? You guys were just answering the phone like
You didn't
wonder
get
who
caller
this
ID
is.
till like
Blindly.
early
Wow.
90s, maybe, because you had the little LCD on the phone finally.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
you were excited to answer the phone back then. It was like,
Who
oh,
could
man,
be?
the phone's ringing. Let me go
True.
get it.
People's anxiety today could never.
Ugh,
People
no.
could never. But yeah, you had no idea. You picked it up and prayed for the best.
I have more to talk about with Mrs. Wheeler, but we'll get to
Man,
it.
you're
as
digging. I'm
we-
surprised you don't have a poster behind you with Miss Wheeler's face on it.
She's just so great. She's really. just
She's a
so great.
sweetheart. She really is.
The when Jonathan walked in on his mom, sitting there like talking like just,
Yes.
and there's lights all around her. That was hilarious. I wasn't supposed to be, but that was so funny because I'm thinking, oh, he's realizing you are delusional now.
They were doing a
Well, he's
great
so
job of
sad.
making her seem
Delusional.
Oh, she's losing her
She's lost
mind.
Yeah.
it.
One
But I
thing that
think that's
happened in that really bothered me. When she was just in front of the one light bulb,
Yeah,
he comes in, she's like, Jonathan, watch. And she says, Will, are you there? It takes a beat, and then the light comes on. So obviously something happened there. And
Yeah,
then
but
she
if
never
you-
did it with him again. She never said, no, look, let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Hmm.
He just immediately goes into, Mom, you're crazy.
yeah.
I'm like,
'cause,
no,
I
do
mean,
it again.
Well, wait, but from his perspective, you walk in on that and you're like, and you're like, you're okay. You sound so delusional right now. I don't want to let you sit here and continue
I
to
think
I
that's
did
sound
the
see the
delusional.
light
point,
go
though.
on. So I'd be
It
like, okay,
barely
make it happen
flickered.
again, and maybe I won't call you crazy.
No, she already looks crazy. She's sitting in there rocking back.
I think we could have got a lot further right there if she had just made it do it again. But I think we, as the viewers, need to think she's crazy at
I was
that
gonna say,
moment.
I think that
well,
at that
everyone
point,
else needs to think she's crazy,
right? They're
they
casting
do.
that light on her.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this is the audience is supposed to feel exactly how.
Because then Mrs. Wheeler comes over and is like, "Wait a minute, what?"
Yeah, she brings the casserole.
Yeah.
That was another thing I was
Which is
thinking.
so sweet.
I think people
She
still.
is-
she
Sorry, but
does just, and even Joyce is
on.
like, "Get out of my face right now!" Actually,
What
thanks
blew
for
my
the
mind?
casserole.
She had to bake it, right? Whatever it was, she had to cook
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
I don't-
back in the day, that was such a thing. You
I
brought
thought-
casseroles to people.
Yeah, but I thought you brought them already cooked.
You bring it. No, you
Was like,
you can make it, and then you're going to take
Right.
it over and say you can heat it up.
like it's put together, but you still have to put it in the
Yeah,
oven.
okay. I guess I was thinking like a raw something, and she had to put it in the oven and bake it for 3 hours.
She'd already put all the ingredients in there, and then it was like, all right, just
Just
throw it in the
$3.50
oven.
for 20 minutes, and it's ready. Kind of thing.
Okay. I'm not a
'Cause you
woman.
maybe don't-
so
Well, you missed
it
the
was-
point though there because yeah, I see what you're doing. You missed the point because that was so sweet of her to come over and do that,
Grief.
and still she gets rejected. And I'm thinking this woman is trying to find anyone that will just smile at her. Are you playing with something? I
Oh,
can
sorry.
hear some
Sorry.
clicking.
It's a nervous twitch because I'm like, I want to say more about Joyce, but I was just going to say
That she's
how good of a
delusional?
job they made Winona Ryder look rough,
No, that is a good note.
I love her character. I love Joyce.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorites.
But okay, so that what you're getting at, I have notes on that for the other show that we're doing at the moment, where there's a little bit of like you're just literally admiring the production value.
Right. I get wrapped up into that sometimes more than the story.
Because you're like, wait a minute, that is awesome.
Right.
Yeah, I have a note just like that.
You would, film boy. Film boy. Sorry.
Well, you brought up
That's
first.
offensive.
Wouldn't you like to know, weather boy? There's no way they still haven't found the child in the basement. I mean, they go down there. Oh. That's ridiculous.
But at a certain point, where is Mrs. Wheeler? When is she out taking the casserole? When 11's just roaming the house? She's looking at pictures and chilling. Yeah, 11 just chilling in the recliner.
Just as like, okay, what, like, might as well.
Speaking of nods to other shows too, that is a complete nod to E.T. You know when E.T. gets left alone at the house one time and he's roaming the house, he turns the TV on. That's what I was saying in
the first episode is like, I think they did such an incredible job with the nostalgia in the production of this show.
Yeah, what was that? He-Man? I don't know who that was.
He-Man.
On the TV? The character?
Oh.
Was it?
Superhero.
He-Man was huge at that time.
I was making a note about E.T. when she was even watching stuff. I remember the Coke commercial because that gave her a flashback, right?
Yeah, that gave her some.
Speaking of, they get the slingshot. I don't know if we've gotten to that point. Slingshots are not what they used to be. Back in the day, that was an awesome thing to have. What did he call it, though?
Wrist rocket.
Is that what he called it?
I'm pretty sure.
No, it was something rocket. It wasn't the P word.
Wrist.
Oh, wrist rocket. I thought you said
the P word. What?
That is not.
I'm not a wrist rocket cursor. I thought you said something else. Wrist rocket. Yeah, I've never heard that, but that's cool. My point was slingshots were cool.
Yeah,
you don't see a lot of slingshots.
Is another nod to the 80s.
Subtle things like that. I didn't like them picking up the rocks and be like, what? And then they get one. It looked just like all the other ones.
Well, they were trying to console him at that point because he had just got bullied, which, by the way, I
got bullies again.
Again with the bullies. It's insufferable.
The kids were mean. There was multiple because the couple, I cannot stand that couple.
Tommy and...
Homegirl with her foot on the table.
Okay, wait, before we get that though, before we get there, the kids that bullied Mike and his friends, that's not real. I'm not buying any of it. None of it.
We got to be building to something. So stupid. It's got to be just building to some moment that's just going to make them look ridiculous.
The high schoolers, Steve and Tommy, when they bullied Jonathan, that's more real. One, they have motive other than just mad, you're stupid and don't have teeth. That's weak. Give me something. They have reason, and they do it really well because it's not like it's a terrible thing to say. They bully them really well, but
yeah, that's what it sounds like.
But I'm so glad, not to jump around here, but I'm so glad that someone walked in on Jonathan in this, dark room with these photos. Like, what are you doing still? Why are you still with the photos?
I did write down that. Okay, seeing when Steve and his gang were even going through the photos, I was like, okay, that is a little bit weird that he was taking some of those pictures.
Yeah,
so I'm so glad
to what you were saying last time.
I'm so glad you guys are coming around to this because not only that, but he knew it was weird because when she came in, he's like, oh, don't look at those that I'm.
Even if he had said, okay, maybe in that moment, that wasn't the best thing. That wasn't the best choice. You could have not gone through the process of developing those.
That's what I'm saying.
And taking it to that next step where now you have prints of everything.
Now you're taking them home. What are you doing?
Yeah, you have committed to those photos.
You have a photo of Nancy taking her bra off and or shirt off and what are you doing with it?
How?
What are you going to go home and do with that?
Did Steve and them know? That the girl I don't remember them knowing.
Walked in and then she went and told him.
Oh, I remember the dark room, but I guess I didn't remember somebody walking in. Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out how he knew.
right as
Okay.
right as he's hanging
I should
him
pay
up.
attention while I'm taking notes.
I mean, the bullying was brutal, but also it was totally justified. I have no
Ooh.
sympathy there.
Did your heart sink when they dropped that camera?
I was going to say, I don't know about...
Yeah, that was.
They
and
were
I knew it was
justified
coming,
in
but-
feeling angry. I don't know that they were justified in taking it to the lengths that they did.
I feel like they definitely were.
I feel like they could have...
I mean,
I don't know.
well, if they were nice people, maybe. But listen, you find a photo of your girlfriend taken from the woods through the window, taking her shirt off. I'm surprised they didn't just beat him up. I mean, he was very casual about the idea. That's so creeper. You have no reason to believe.
My first thought isn't go beat the person up. My first thought is...
you're not Steve. So,
right.
Well, worse
you
than
are.
Steve was
Okay.
his
but would
buddy.
you? Well, I wouldn't beat him up either. But would you go break the camera? Like, well, how would you react?
I'd probably go tell his parents.
Oh, you're
you
such a
tattletale.
dork.
You narc.
Hey, so I
Mrs.
found these
Tommy.
photos, so
Yeah.
you probably
I
punched
know you.
him.
I know
or-
your other son is like missing right now, but this is weird. So can you just
probably
take care of
should-
that?
Could you? Because
By
I
the-
don't want to talk to him.
By the way, I think you're probably hot, but you just look rough right now. I'll come back in 6 months.
Yeah, she'd be like, wait, the lights though.
Right.
Just
You
and it-
come here and
And
look
I'd
at
be
this.
like, I totally believe you. Make it happen again, and we got something here.
and
There was
Hear
another
out.
thing-
I could see that.
There was another thing that got dropped during this show. That Millennium
Drop?
Falcon.
oh yeah,
I was just thinking the whole time, man. First of all, that's probably a very valuable toy 40 years ago.
Mhm.
got dropped twice.
But now, yeah, he just dropped that thing like it wasn't a big deal.
well, because she was supposed to.
I know, but
make it fly.
I was just
Well, and
thinking,
then
dude,
she
you're
made
just
it
breaking
fly.
my toys. What are you doing?
She made it fly later, and then just dropped it.
Yeah.
like
So
all
that
right,
thing
I'm
has
bored of
got
that.
roughed up. Poor Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, I'm so glad you noticed the toys we're getting from. Because you're thinking, no, if my friends come over and just drop that,
You're out of here.
dude.
Go home.
Speaking of, Mike has terrible, like, main character energy. I mean, this dude thinks
Sometimes he's all over the place.
yeah, I'm the guy. You guys are here because of me. I think it's because he's the dungeon master, and he thinks, I am the main character. No, we'll get to it more in a minute. I don't want to jump there yet, but at the very end, everybody's upset, and he's the one that's like, no, you know what? I'm gonna take this moment to lash out and
Yeah.
then sprint off, and then everybody's supposed to be like, "Where, Mike? Come on!" Like we're all suffering here, not
Like he hit
Just
somebody
you.
pretty hard. Like somebody was grabbing him something. He goes, no. And that was a bit much, Mike.
Yeah.
You might get put on your butt.
But
Not by me. But
Somebody's going to do it, though.
I mean, I won't do it. I'll go tell
No.
your parents on you.
I'll let his mom
Listen,
know.
Mike snatched his arm back from me, so it didn't hurt, but I just thought you should know.
As a
Miss Wheeler.
sidebar, didn't we all know that kid growing up, though? There
That
was
would
always that one
snitch?
kid
Yeah, it's
that was
Chuck.
always like,
I
Go tell the
wasn't.
parents.
there was, though. I can picture in my head who it was when I was a kid, that one person that was always like fussing about something. And you're like, oh, God.
If something illegal was going to go down,
You weren't having
and I
it.
thought I was going to somehow be implicated, I'm letting somebody know. I gotta
Implicated,
get
or
out.
you just liked being the one to break the story?
No. I was never that. It was when
Okay.
it was a self-preservation thing.
That
I'm saying
I
it like it happened. It never happened. But I would be that one.
hypothetically.
Yeah. Also, Elle is still so annoying having to
Yeah.
repeat stuff back.
Okay.
When he's telling her to meet him, when Mike's explaining how to meet him,
Yes.
power
Yes.
lines. I even have
Okay,
something else.
wait. You just said it, though. When he's like, the power line, the power lines behind the house? Yeah. Meet us there at 3:15. 3:15? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You know what a power line is, but you have no concept of time?
And then he says after school, and she goes, after school? Like, what are you saying?
I don't know how
Okay,
to
but-
explain it to you.
Oh, but then later on, she's.
But were they telling
Ugh.
time in the facility that she was staying
The
in? I
time
didn't see a
didn't
lot
even
of
bother
clocks on
me.
the
It was the
wall.
power lines and after school when she repeated it.
Why?
I'm like, what are you doing?
But what does she know about school? She's been in a
Right.
sterile
What does she
facility
know
her
about
whole
power
life.
lines?
Well, those might at least be a little more accessible.
Well, then she doesn't know anything about anything. I don't think she would be.
I don't know how she knows
talking.
anything at all.
I think that's the impression we're supposed to be under, is that she's been in this facility her whole life. She knows nothing.
Does she know things or does she not know things?
Right.
I get the inconsistency.
It's
I see your point.
I just struggle with it. I struggle watching her talk.
315. Okay, 315.
She always.
You have any idea what that means?
I love
at the power lines, the big cables on the pole going through the neighborhood. Neighborhood. Yeah, it's a group of houses. Yeah,
houses.
Well, she truly knows.
How does she know what that is?
She probably does.
Start from
well,
scratch.
She probably doesn't, but she knows what neighborhood means.
I liked the contrast between Lucas and Dustin, where Dustin thought she was an X-Men.
Yeah,
and
Dustin's in fantasy world.
Like, he was just fangirling so hard. And then you've got Lucas, who thinks she's like gum on the bottom of somebody's shoe. He's got no use for her.
She's a witch.
And I loved that contrast.
I think I'm Lucas. I think I'm the guy.
You're definitely a Lucas.
Why are we not telling somebody about this?
Right.
What did we tell you?
Common sense tells you can trust adults and authorities.
Right. Now, what's funny is, yes, you
not,
would
not
be
always, but no.
I don't feel
That's how I
comfortable
was
with that
raised.
at all.
You would be one of the kids that would die because, you just go tell the authorities, and then
I'd be one of the ones that ends the TV show and movie early.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's my thing. Is it's like it doesn't even bother me. We were talking about with the guy in the restaurant, and I'm like, they need to call.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, but don't, because then they'll die. Well, but they don't know that. So they're not calling is just ignorance. They have no reason.
It's not necessarily. Sometimes it's called one of two things, either street smarts or trust issues. And sometimes both can come in handy, like in this case.
I'm really glad that the way the whole restricted area and the government building went down. I feel relieved.
Yeah, they finally went there.
Yeah, well, and the way he did it was like exactly the way I explained it, where it's like, all you got to do is go in there and be like, listen, dude, I don't think he's in here. I don't know. I just have to check it off. He even said that. I just have to check the box. And I'm like, that's all I wanted.
The only note I made about that was that MP that let him through at the gate or talked to his boss, that's definitely not happening. Like, well, maybe in the 80s, maybe, but I don't know. A place where you have military police, you don't play around. People get killed for stuff like that.
Well, I mean, he's police, so it's not like a random stranger. It's not like that video, that guy rolling to Area 51. I know Stacy. Stacy, I know her. Okay, dude, that's not going to help you get in here.
Police.
I also
he was in
know
his awesome
Deborah.
blazer. Okay, maybe. I'll cut him a break.
Well, when he was leaving, and he's like, you remember that night? It was raining. You see rain? I'm thinking, okay, Hobb is like hardcore detective.
That moment, I was like, that man is a big fish in a small pond.
He definitely is.
Ooh.
He is. He's former big city cop, right?
That's the implication.
Really?
Yeah,
I hadn't picked up on that.
Yeah, because they kept saying, talking about if you want to go work in the big city again or something like that.
Yeah. So this is like him really like he's below his own bar.
Oh,
being where he is.
He's batting below his average. That's not
definitely
the right saying. How's that go? Anyway.
I was trying to think of what the correct terminology for that is. But anyways, yeah, he's big fish, small pond. He's capable of more. He's the only person that seems to be able to connect dots on the level that he
even
can.
when they're in the library, which that was a little bit funny, the library scene, because he's like, maybe we should go out again. That was weird. Don't say that.
There's something about librarians though, right? I mean, they're always like, you're not like, oh, okay. You always have a crush on the library.
I don't get it.
Oh yeah, have the glasses down just a little bit.
I've never actually seen a librarian that looks like that though. If you go to the library, that's not what they look like.
Chuck, have you?
Wow, I have personal experience. Not from high school.
From the now.
Potentially.
Oh, is Aaron a librarian?
Wow.
Yeah. I genuinely did not know that.
Well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cheers to you, my friend. They were all
they were
old
60
ladies,
plus old ladies, super nice, but definitely not.
That's a Seinfeld bit. I remember when the librarian was an old lady. You didn't know about her private life and you didn't want to. Anyway.
We moved on from the library. I got one note when they were in the library.
Go. Yeah.
Ever used the Microfiche machine? Those things were awesome.
I never did. No.
Come on. I thought for sure you would say you had.
I'm sorry.
They were so cool because it was like you put this small little slide on this thing and you're like, and you're sliding it around and it's all zoomed out in your view.
I remember watching it
awesome.
and thinking, okay, they're really heavy on the 80s now. I don't even know what that is. I'm picturing the projectors that we used to have in school, and it seemed like similar to that. You slide
Yeah, that was even before my time.
Well, the projectors couldn't have been.
No, not the projectors. But the other.
Go ahead, Chuck. You have a note? You want to say something? Please do.
No, I think we're getting to it. At some point, did Holly come when they brought the casserole?
Yeah, and then she wandered away when the lights were.
It just was weird. Like, why? If that's Will talking, why Holly being there made a difference?
What?
When Holly was there, the little girl, and she walks around and she's following the lights. Yeah, like he's talking to her more than he'd talk to anybody else.
And he didn't talk. He's not talking to anybody.
Communicating, whatever he's trying to do.
Well, here's the thing, though. So when I, just based on what I understand about watching it years ago, the lights thing is not, it's weird. And I actually wrote that I have questions about it because at one point they're like flashing in a direction for Joyce, like an arrow. And I'm thinking, well, that's not Will. Is he in the upside down doing this? Like motioning him. But then at some point they go in the upside down and they touch a light and it shows up. And so it's like, how do these lights work? He's over there in the corner. Are the lights this special being telling Joyce, hey, this is where he's at over here? Why would the lights all around him not be illuminating? I don't understand it. And is he in the upside down touching the letters?
What is that place you keep talking about?
The upside down?
Mm.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead. It really bothered me.
No, but I was tracking.
It's 100% him. I know what you're saying. But it's 100% him controlling the lights, is it not?
Yeah, I know. But I just like.
But you're saying logistically, how is he doing that?
Right. Because if you think, okay, if he's in that room, how is he managing? I just have so many questions.
Yeah.
But I think, the monsters could be triggering the lights as well. And that's why you saw them.
It's all energy almost. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like the electricity that would come off of your body. I hadn't thought
about the monsters, maybe. One other thing, when she had the big ball of lights and she says, blink them once for yes, twice for no. And one time he answers yes, it only blinked once. She didn't give it a chance to see if it was going to blink twice. Maybe that's a no.
She was already relieved. Oh,
but then one time he answers no, but she gave it time that time. Anyway.
My favorite part of this entire episode is her and the lights. Like just all the different scenes of her running around, hanging the lights, and just like her level of franticness. Like, I don't know. It's just so engaging to watch. Like
And when she checks out with them at the store, just put them on my tab or whatever.
He needed to, whatever. We're not going to let this man be the obstacle here.
It's funny. I was going to comment on that.
Dweeby boss.
When he did it the last time, well, he's a nice guy because the last time she had to buy a phone and she's like.
She's worked there for 37 years or something. Like,
I know. Let me get it out. She said, like, I need an advance. Like, I'm really struggling. And he's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. I got you. We're good. And it's like, oh, okay. And then she comes back with the lights and he's like, you're really, I don't know what to do here. Like, I can't. And she's like, I need the lights. And it's like, all right, Joyce, but
when you're that,
I don't know how far to let you go with this.
She was too locked in. She's like, I cannot with you right now. You have got to step aside. She was a lady on a mission.
But she didn't have the money for that.
You don't think Joyce is hooking him up in any way, right? Joyce wouldn't do that,
Gotta
right?
do what you gotta
Joyce
do.
would
but
not.
Not in
Okay.
this state.
Okay, not my
Not-
Joyce. Okay.
Not your Joyce.
Thank you.
Joyce would never.
I feel better.
But Mrs. Wheeler, though,
Maybe.
when so the whole time, I think it was when Joyce tells her to leave. I need you to leave. And I'm thinking, this woman is getting so much disrespect right now. I can't handle it. She's the only person in this entire show that is being just
Mrs.
genuine, real. Yes, just real. Hasn't done anything that's like, oh, that's
She's the only
No one would do
person
that.
not going through something
right.
on like a really
Well,
extreme level at the moment.
I think she is, though.
She's just out here
She's
baking
just covering it up because her husband
well, yeah, that's a whole other
So
situation.
I think she might be. But she's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try. I'm going to do nice things for other people. And maybe I can tell my kids, hey, look, I'm not even mad at you. Just talk to me. Nope, they don't want to. And the whole time I'm getting mad because I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. And then by the end of it, twice she got a moment with each of her kids. And I'm not even going to lie to you. I was on the verge of tears. I felt so happy because I'm thinking, what a relief. What a relief that she's been sitting there. I'm not a woman, but as a mom,
You're not. You're not.
as a mom, she's thinking, I've told both of my kids, you can talk to me, and they just brush me off. And I try to be nice to Joyce, and she said, leave. And my husband, God knows where he is, but he's a pain in my you-know-what. And then finally, they both kind of break down crying in front of her like, all right, here I am, vulnerable. Wow.
Right.
Well, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. What is happening?
Yeah,
But it's so real.
We got to get you a poster.
When he runs in and just kind of stands there and looks at her and just kind of starts crying, and she's just like, yep, this is what I've been waiting for.
Honestly, that is the reality of being a mom. If Erin were here, she'd probably back me up 100%. 75% of the time, you're trying your best at all times to be everything you need to be for this little human. And 25% of the time, it's going to land how you hope. But
and
you
10%
keep showing
of
up.
the time, you get appreciation for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have that moment where you get the
Unexpected
hug.
appreciation
or,
where it's like,
Mhm.
wow,
Are we
I can
all three
see.
going to cry right now?
Listen,
I
I
can
have an
cry.
almost
I'm a crier.
15-year-old. This is my reality on the regular, where
Right.
it's like every once in a while you just get blindsided with that like big hug or that like thanks mom, and you're like, what?
It was just such a payoff because it was like, she's the only one that cares. Who knows where the dad is? And they finally, after being very reluctant to do so, finally come to the mom like, okay, here I'm at
It's
my
a I need
weakest.
my mom moment.
While we're
Go
giving
ahead.
moms credit, I'm going to give Joyce some more credit. That alphabet thing, that was genius.
Oh, I love
That
it.
was genius.
I love it.
Genius.
But that's another level of like her dedication to figuring this out. She's not going to let her boss or Mrs. Wheeler or even her son stand in her way. She is like, I'm locked in and this is my kid and I know what I know. So it's the same type of thing, just different scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was genius. I just wonder, like, when he said run,
Oh, I love that scene so much.
Well, he had to say something real quick. I mean, he didn't know what,
again,
but it's
I'm
like
just
the-
Will's
picturing
got a
him
little bit of L in him. Like,
a little
come on,
dramatic.
dude. Communicate a little bit better here.
I'm just picturing him like standing on the couch trying to reach the letters. And then
oh,
running
you
over here.
really mean logistically? How is he pulling
Logistically,
that
yes.
off?
Locked
I'm
in on
wondering
that.
how he's doing this so well. Would he not bump another letter and confuse everybody? Like,
Well, that's just when you got to like turn your brain off and enjoy the show.
well, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that scene is so cool. I love it. When
Yeah.
you figure out what he's spelling and just that moment of like,
She waited so long to see what was busting through the wall.
Well, it could have been him.
she's a little gangster. She might have
Could've
been
been
ready to
him.
squabble up. What
He
if it was
said
her
run.
kid?
Maybe
And it
he
had
meant
long.
run to me.
That would have been really dramatic if that's what he said. Now run. And she turns around at Tim. Here I am. Run into my arms,
Oh,
Mom. Here I
no.
am. Because he had just said right here, too. Right here. Run.
Aw.
That's
No me
gonna be
gusta.
dumb.
Mm-mm.
I don't know what other notes I have.
The other thing I had written down was, I think we kind of talked about it. Hopper knows about this. He knows about Elle on some level, right? He knows there's this child that got found or something.
No. He knows.
He doesn't even know that because his buddy,
he said,
who could have told him, got shot.
Listen, we see these kids in the hospital.
That's right.
down.
Nobody
What we
knows about
found
her because the guy
Mhm.
died.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I
And
wrote
when
down,
they-
why are we not trying to find Elle anymore?
When
We
they
don't know about her
interrogated
yet.
the guy, no one's looking for Elle except for Papa, which I don't understand.
Oh, yeah.
I have so many questions about that whole relationship with Elle and
It's
It was
Papa.
creepy.
weird
Because
when
I'm
he
thinking-
cradled her. And she straight up killed two
Yeah.
dudes, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Which did not faze him. He obviously
was
knew her
impressed.
capabilities. Yeah. But
He-
you get the sense that she's being programmed, trained, groomed,
Okay.
whatever you want
have
to call
you
it.
guys seen, Chuck, you have Umbrella Academy?
No.
Okay. Does it not give off that same energy?
I had to quit watching that show.
Okay.
It was,
Well, just
I got confused in like the third season because suddenly one character was a different person.
okay.
and
You
I'm
got
like,
through.
I don't understand.
You got through 3 seasons. You know that the dad in there was very much like, okay, you have powers, and I'm going to harness them, and I'm going to get you to show them. But he had no emotions
remember
towards
that.
them as kids. But she is so attached to him. Like when something goes crazy, she's like, Papa. And I'm thinking, he's the one running all this. Why?
But
what?
that's what makes me think he's
What
truly
happens-
psycho because but every kid looks for a caregiver. So if he's tapped
I have
into
just
that
have
role,
questions in why
and
she looks at
he's-
him as that. Like, oh, he's the guy I need.
that's
to,
easy to do, to position yourself that way when you have a child who has no one else and
But
you live
he's
in a
running these
scary...
experiments that scares her.
But she's
it-
a child, so he could still tap into that side of her that needs to be loved, and then he can manipulate her.
Right. We just don't see it, I think is my
But
point.
that's the sense
just
I
wanna
got right
see
out of
that.
the gate, is like he's manipulating her. Clearly.
No, he definitely is. He definitely is. I agree there. I just think, okay, but you need you to show me a little bit of emotion. That way I have reason to believe that when she's going through trauma, that's the guy she's running to. No, Papa.
Yeah,
him.
I guess so. Like, we haven't seen why she would even
Right.
care. Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, I don't know why it is so jarring for me seeing, again, this has nothing to do with the story, but seeing Matthew Modine, that's the guy who plays Papa,
Mhm. I like him as an actor.
seeing him with just look like, I don't know if he's supposed to be old. I don't know how old he even really was when this was being shot, but there's something jarring about seeing him with a full head of gray hair. I don't know why that is. And so every time he comes on, I'm like, okay, is he an old dude or is he just a guy with gray hair? I
He
don't know
looks
why.
like he'd
That's just my
be-
personal jarring
don't
moment.
know.
Every time he's on screen.
But at this point, you've gotten used to it. It's
I'm
like
not-
when
I'm
someone
still
starts
not
wearing
used to it.
glasses, and you're like, I guess they just wear glasses now. By day 2, you just kind of roll with it.
I don't know.
He's a very striking looking person anyway.
Yeah.
What does that mean? No, what are you agreeing with that?
Yeah,
What does that mean? I
striking.
need you to break that down. What is
When
striking?
someone looks striking,
His
Yeah.
his
It's just-
facial structure is
Yeah, it's
and he's
very,
kind of tall and lanky and
it's just very noteworthy. It's just somebody whose features, like, they just stand
it's not
out.
a face you
Okay.
forget.
Right.
like
It's just
jarring.
striking. No, because I would, if I said someone
Okay.
had striking features, I would mean that in a complimentary way.
But jarring would be a negative.
Jarring would be more negative. Yeah. If you're
Okay.
a striking looking individual, I
The
would
striking, would that imply power? Like
mean
confidence?
that. A presence, perhaps a presence.
Or is
I
it
don't know
just
about.
physical appearance?
I think it's really more physical appearance.
Yeah, they just
His-
stand out.
so. He has a good jawline.
His features are very prominent.
yes. Good or bad. I think striking can be good
Okay.
or bad for me.
Yeah, I would only use striking in like a complimentary sense. I don't know that I would use it for somebody that I thought was
Scott,
You would
you're
then
very
say
striking.
fugly.
You know,
For me.
to me, he
So you
just
could be
looks
good or bad.
remarkably average. I just can't.
Am I going to trademark that? It's
Yes,
Remarkable.
you have to.
remarkably average. Aggressively mediocre is another one I like.
Moving on from looks, I understand we have a diary entry from Mr. Hopper.
That is crazy. Thanks for asking, Scott.
Yeah,
Can I say one quick pop culture thing before we jump into this? because I'm a little sad and I just need you guys to hold some space for me in this moment.
Oh, gosh.
Because I'm a woman.
I'm glad you referenced that.
I'm not. Go ahead.
What's the actor's name who plays Hopper? I can't even think of it right now. He and his wife, Lily Allen, who's a singer that I used to really enjoy. I don't really listen to her music lately, but they got a divorce. And I'm like, oh, man.
Oh.
Hopper's heartbroken right now.
Here's your chance.
You can fix him.
Anybody's.
Fix him. We're going to get a trash can.
Wow.
We're going to clean up the beer cans. Yeah, no, I just thought that I was like, oh, dang. Because I remember when they got married, I thought, oh, okay, fair enough. But anyway, that's it.
Wow.
Bummer.
That's tough.
You might not like him after this diary entry because I had mentioned the National Archives have been sending me. So
I don't know why they
really
chose
good
you.
one. People like me. He starts off with Dear Diary. I think he started off the other ones the same way.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like him.
Hop Man here, so he's sticking with that.
Consistent.
He's Hop Man. Still no signs of Wes or Bill or Will, or was it Wes? He's not invested as much as we're seeing on screen. Like, he doesn't even know Will's name.
Apathy.
Wow. Joyce has lost her mind, so my chances of hooking up with her are diminishing.
Or increasing.
I'm telling you, Shauna, he's not the dude you think he is.
Yeah, I don't like this so far.
Speaking of hooking up, before I want to make sure this diary entry is accurate. What was
I don't know the librarian's name. I don't know her name.
Speaking of hooking up, I showed I think her name was Marissa. I showed Marissa, right, the librarian, how to, quote, Dewey my decimal system, unquote. We came up with these rules so we can do that. He did that in quotes, but still just be friends. The first rule is no calls the next day, so she has no reason to be mad the next time I'm at the library.
Now he's a dog. No. He's a teddy bear. He's not like that.
She has no reason to be mad the next time I'm at the library to look at her, quote, fiction section, unquote.
Can I take a guess at what the other rule is? Sleepovers are optional.
Oh, I'm going to write that down. He didn't put more rules. That sounds like a good one. It sounds like you're getting greedy with that, though.
Well,
I mean, if there's anything I know, they want you to sleep over. That's not in the diary. That's from my diary. All right, moving on. This came out of left field, out of nowhere. Watch the
Wizard. That last part came out of left field.
Yeah, it sure did.
He's not focused.
A good guy. Watched Wizard of Oz again last night. I swear that movie is great. Had a great idea, though. I should try this someday. What if someone explored those characters' origin stories? That would probably be the best story ever written in the history of stories. I'll talk to Marissa about it. Hop out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to the National Archives about maybe they can send those diaries my way.
I mean, it's
I'm going to say Marissa doesn't owe him that conversation.
Yeah, but I just think maybe they should send them my way. And it's also funny that he'd remember the librarian's name, but not the child that he's looking for.
He can't remember the details from the case he's on.
So,
I mean,
crazy. Shauna, still, if you're into it, you're into it. But,
That's actually bizarre because one of my notes that I just didn't mention was when they pull, Will out of the water and he runs up and he's like, that's not the kid, is it? And he has this look on his face. Like you can feel like his heart sank a little bit. And I was like, oh, the kids can cry. That's one thing. But his reaction to it was a little bit like
ominous.
Oh, I let them down. Like I was supposed to find that kid. But that doesn't sound like the same guy that gave you that diary. Huh?
But that's what Bill, I love about his character.
Wes or
Bill.
He didn't mention that we did find a body that seems to be the kid's.
I don't know if that was the day before. I don't know.
Oh, okay, that's
speaking
fair.
of the body, though, like we don't really think it's Will, right? I mean, it's game over now.
It was wearing his clothes.
Not buying it. There's a plot twist.
I don't remember.
And then who is Joyce talking to? the Demogorgon.
It must be Wes.
Right, well,
Whoever
he's
Wes
missing
is.
too. It's Barb. She's like, come on.
Barb.
Oh,
Someone
right.
think of me.
God, no one literally no one cared.
No one knows.
That's how that hashtag got started, Justice for Barb, because the
Aw.
first time around, everyone picked up on that. They were like,
Well,
nobody
it's-
cares about
yeah.
Barb.
It's the fact that once they do find out, it's very short lived. But right now, no one knows but Nancy. And it's like, okay, Nancy, you have a huge responsibility right now. No one knows that Barb is missing except for you. And you're kind of sitting on it because of the whole, like, I could get in trouble.
And she's distracted. Does Steve like me? Does he not
Right.
like me?
Like, wait a minute. No. Ugh.
Mm.
But also, who's really thinking about Barb that much? I mean, let's be real.
But see, that's the thing.
Wow.
I mean, ain't nobody thinking about Barb,
Barb was
except for
Classic.
Nancy.
That's something
Even her
Steve
mom
would
was like-
say.
No, she was coming over to stay with you. Oh, yeah, no, I meant this morning. And her
Some
mom's like,
textbooks.
oh, okay, yeah.
I couldn't stand that she used the word textbooks.
She's a dork. That's what she's going to do.
Also, shout out to payphones. I have used a payphone in my day,
Mm-hmm.
Have you?
and it was just
Oh, yeah.
so neat. Like to think, yeah, that's maybe we talked about this before, but it was just so cool to walk up to a thing. We went to the beach one time, and I had to call home. I was little, and it was like, oh yeah, you put some money in there, and you
just
it's
dial it up.
neat.
But you also had numbers memorized.
I was just about to
Yeah.
ask, did
You
you
had to
carry
memorize- no,
I
you had
remember
numbers
my home
memorized.
phone number right now.
I remember my home phone number from when I was a kid. You had your parents, you had your home phone
I don't
number
believe
memorized.
you. Go ahead. What was it?
Mine was 757-562-6015.
770-772-9787.
What are we doing?
You-
I'm
We
not
just
going to be
gave
able
out
to
numbers.
verify that.
I wonder if
I'm not
somebody.
going to be able to verify that.
I want to
Call
dial
it.
it now and just see who picks up.
I
No,
can
let's
probably
not
find
call
an
it.
old. Oh,
I'm fixing to call the Hopewell
100%.
House.
No. Okay. Well, I think that's it. We've read the diary. We took a lot of notes. We will be back for episode 4. We're starting to get into the thick of it.
Oh.
Things are happening.
Joyce is talking to someone through the lights, but they just found Will's body. So, also, Mike reminded us that he's the main character and that we need to be paying attention to him.
Mm.
And we know Hot Man's hooking up with the librarian.
And Hot Man is.
He broke my heart a
hooked
little.
up. He's not hooking up. He hooked up.
Who says
once.
it's not ongoing?
What do you mean?
He
He
made
walked
rules.
in and
That was
she
a
started
front.
drilling
That's
him.
a front. His bros were there. He can't make it look like he's in love.
No, he didn't. She was drilling him. She's like,
Whoa.
bold of you to show up after not calling me back.
I mean, he's got to lead her along. He can't, he's not in love. He's in love.
Yeah, but that's her saying, okay, obviously we're not hooking up because you're not even calling me back.
She cannot resist that. Trust. It's in his diary.
cannot.
Come on now. They got rules.
Yeah, I don't know his diary. We might need to fact
I
check
think
it.
that's bold in a small town like that too. How are you going to skirt somebody if you don't call someone back, but there's all of like 500 people total?
Mm.
How long did you think you were going to dodge her?
What are you going
We
to
should
call
dive
back
into
and
that sometime.
say?
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, just
You're going to run into her again. It's
Yeah.
not like you're in the metro
you're gonna
Atlanta
have-
area and you're never going to see this person again.
you're going to have to, do some investigating and need to go to the library. Because back in the 80s, libraries mattered. Now they're just kind of empty rooms with computers.
Stop.
Wow.
That's terrible. And I'm not even a librarian. I love the
Aw,
library.
I love going in a library.
I
love a library.
And
Yeah, that was
it's
a
free
random
books.
stray.
If I'm looking for a title and I don't want to pay $20, I can for sure go
I
to
like
the
just going in
library.
there, sit down, and be quiet. And
There's an
Oh,
ambiance.
Chuck,
There's
used
an
to like-
ambiance.
Chuck used to like to go
Third
to ODU
floor,
and just sit
ODU
down in the
library. Oh,
The third floor was the silent one.
no, that was fourth. I wouldn't go there.
the fourth.
But the third
Oh,
was
yeah,
pretty
the fourth.
quiet.
I went up to the fourth once just to what's
You're like,
this all about?
should I make a noise?
And I didn't know what to do.
You
I kind of just
rebel.
walked around.
Libraries are like the comfort food of locations.
Yes.
We're getting off time. Let's try to wrap this up. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll be back for episode 4 of Stranger Things. For Shauna Fretwell and Charlie Harcum,
All right.
I am Scott Feltz. Thank you.